Hey TI family, Christina Maria back with another video. Under heavy duty attacks again. I'm gonna start documenting my experience as best as I can and what it's like to be a TI. How my mornings start. I wake up every morning in a lot of pain. Usually eyes are pretty swollen, and that's how you know they were broadcasting you all night, radiating you. It feels like you ran a fucking marathon in your sleep, and that's how you know they were broadcasting you in your sleep. Basically trafficking you when you're in a state of hypnosis, a hypnotic state, which is sleep. Dream state is when they usually like to traffic a TI. So you'll wake up with not normal body aches. You know, people complain of body aches like arthritis and old age and, oh, I'm sore, and it's not the same kind of pain at all. It's very excruciating. But as soon as I open my eyes, my targeting life begins. Very hard for me to move around when I've spent a night of torment, torture. Hard to walk. I envy people who can just walk to the bathroom and just feel their surroundings and feel the ground beneath their feet, and be able to feel their surroundings and feel their own body. As a target individual, you can't feel any of these things, and just to walk to the bathroom is the hardest thing to do. It's a struggle. You're surrounded with oppression by directed energy weapons and torment. So just getting up out of the bed is a task. Everything becomes a chore in your life because you have to put in extra effort to do just anything, even just brushing your teeth. Bathroom time is always an experience, never fun, especially if they sex traffic an individual through the virtual reality tech. Bath time can be very uncomfortable. You're basically become a convenience for any sexual assault, sexual harassment, rape in this virtual technology. You're connected to a hive mind. Once your consciousness has been uploaded into AI, into this beast machine, this computer, you're basically put in the hands of a bunch of criminals who have total control over this technology. So I'll allow your mind to wander in that direction, because that's exactly what it is. So using the bathroom, getting undressed, is a very uncomfortable time of the day for every TI. Making something to eat is, once again, every little move you make is very excruciating and becomes this chore. When I look at people who are able to just walk and move about naturally and freely out in public, I envy you. I'm no longer able to do so. I feel like I'm walking through water because I'm surrounded by directed energy weapons and attacked on a constant basis. My nerves are attacked. My nervous system is attacked. My brain is attacked. Muscles are attacked. I get a lot of attacks in the back of my neck, in the middle of my spine, the lower part of my spine. I get hit with all kinds of frequencies that you could possibly imagine. They use things like delta, theta, beta to manipulate emotions and feelings. And after a while, after they manipulate your natural state of being and your natural feeling of how you feel is manipulated using frequencies, so they can actually amplify your emotions or take away, dumb them down using different vibrations and frequencies. So you get to a certain point where you don't even know how to feel anymore. You no longer have a natural state of being and feeling. They force you to become codependent on the AI technology. And it is the saddest experience I've ever experienced in my life. It's very scary. The only way you can really feel at a certain point, once the targeting is really gotten to that point, the only way you could really feel is by grounding yourself out in nature, becoming unconditional love at all times, connecting in the spirit, becoming more spiritual than more in the body, if that makes sense. Connecting with God, connecting with Source. It's the only way you can find and seek any kind of relief. You can't get them off you. It's, there's nowhere to run. There's nowhere to turn. These are invisible weapons, and there's nothing that can be done about it. So, when you hear about all these sex trafficking stories and, all these criminals and pedophiles out in the physical world, you think it's the worst crime that's ever committed, and people are not aware of this technology that exists. It's far more worse than any trafficking you could possibly think of, because there's absolutely no escape. There's no even finding out who these perpetrators are, because they could be at any location. From my understanding of my research, this technology can be used at like a 10,000 mile radius. You can go underground and still be connected to this tech. There's nowhere to turn. There's no way to block off the frequencies. You're talking military grade weaponry. There's no shielding. You would have to be completely like in an enclosure that is like sealed tight, to where there is no leaks whatsoever for them to enter through, which is pretty much impossible unless you want to live in a fucking Rubbermaid container made out of some pretty sturdy steel or something. So you basically are held captive in this AI through your conscious mind. You're connected to a hive mind with other perpetrators. You're basically in survival mode at every second of the day. That's the life of a TI. They use a lot of counterintelligence, multivalence. They use a lot of CIA tactics, interrogation tactics, military tactics. They also perform satanic ritual abuse, because you do have secret societies that are involved with the ones who hold the weaponry. So they perform a lot of ritual abuse on an individual. You are dealing with pedophiles. Once a targeted individual becomes targeted and they find out that they also have children, they start targeting the children and try to get the victim to be disconnected from the child or children, so that way they can better isolate the targeted individual, to basically succeed in their targeting and whatever their goal may be, but to also be able to target the child and program them using things like Monarch, MK Ultra. MK Ultra still exists. A lot of people think that they got rid of it probably in the 70s and 80s, but I'm here to tell you it still exists. It's just more advanced. Their technology is way more advanced than what it used to be. I think the CIA discovered this technology in 1953. It's far more advanced in these times. So unfortunately, I think another reason why they don't get caught is because a lot of people in our government and other governments are, scared. Because they can basically wipe you off the face of this planet with this technology. They can remotely control you at any time. A lot of victims don't make it. They're either forced suicide or commit suicide, because they don't want to be used as a weapon or can't take it anymore because the pain is so unbearable. It feels like your consciousness is screaming to get out of your body. They can actually hit certain parts of your brain. That is just so excruciating. It literally feels, that's the best way I could describe it, is like your soul is on fire and your conscious mind is just screaming. Your consciousness just wants to rip the skin that's on your body and get out of your body. It is the most excruciating torment I've ever experienced in my life. And I've heard a lot of TIs, say ignore it, ignore it, ignore it. And there's some of us TIs whose targeting is so severe, it's just impossible to ignore. I do have broadcasting where everything is broadcasted on a computer screen, and I can actually see the broadcastings where it does not look organic or natural. It looks like an actual computer screen, and everything is virtual, and there's synthetic. It's like another matrix. But that's only putting a ding into what I really have to experience, and there's just some things that I have to leave out. Because I can't even define in words, and it's so evilly sick that nobody would believe it. But this is invisible weaponry. It's basically an invisible prison, like an invisible FEMA camp. The victims are basically held hostage in an electromagnetic field. And if somebody's got a strong eye, they can actually see this electromagnetic field that surrounds the victim. It almost looks like static electricity and a pixelation. You can actually pick it up on camera and on film. They use different forms of directed energy weapons, which have different sizes. There's one that looks like the size of an actual really tiny skinny pin needle, like sewing needle, and they're white, like white laser beams. And that's when they start radiating the victim with that, and it goes all through the body. There's ones that look like they have to be charged up, and they are blue beams. Those are pretty long, very painful. They usually aim for the head when they hit a victim with those. They have one that has what looks like a red beam. Those are very painful, and I assume cause a lot of damage, because I've felt excruciating pain when being hit with one of those, and they've only hit me with that probably a handful of times in my targeting. The microwave radiation is no fun. It makes you feel like your skin is shriveling up like a raisin. It feels like the skin on your face, which they use it a lot on the head area and the face area. It's just complete torture and torment. It makes you feel like your skin off your face is falling off. It's almost like you can't see. It's almost like a buzzing of microwave radiation. You can actually feel it in your body, and it's just bzzz. It's like almost like a low vibrational humming. Very painful. They can also hit a victim with what I call the aggravation frequency. Where they'll hit them with a certain tone and frequency to make the victim just so aggravated they want to crawl out of their skin. A lot of victims suffer from what's called V2K, and when they, other people outside the TI community hear voice of skull, they think it's in skull hearing or inner hearing, and it's actually more like a radio broadcast being broadcasted towards the victim's skull area and outside of the ear to go into the inner hearing. A lot of it is tone based. They can do tone manipulation by carrying frequencies in your environment, such as, say you have your washer is running. They can actually send a frequency and drag that frequency to create ultrasounds, to actually create words out of tones. It's really hard to describe. That technology is pretty complex. But noise campaigning is what they tend to do a lot to a victim, which is a combo tactic that they use by aggravating the actual TI with a frequency and amplifying the noises around the victim's environment to really cause aggravation, what is known as noise campaigning. So if a fire truck is coming, by your house, you just hear it, just bothers you. You're like, fuck, what's going on? Or you want to know what's going on. But if you're a TI and they hit you with the aggravation frequency, that noise, it hurts. It really hurts. It's amplified using this technology. So I hope that helps you guys. A lot of TIs have to change their daily routines. A lot of us are, casted out from society. And that's something else that I want to get into and explain to the community outside of, the TI community, as to why this is and how they go about doing it. I really want to break things down to really expose these criminals in hopes that they get exposed to humanity here soon. And my hopes for what happens to them is they're thrown to the masses, basically thrown to the wolves for the world to see who they really are. And, everybody gets set free from the hands of these scumbags. But I love you guys. Stay strong on the battlefield. Don't give up.